and welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over the world, including Spain, because we've got a newie, we've got a newbie, we've got a new face who's in Spain at the moment, in Andrew,
Oh,
the
I've lost
Hinkley
you there.
Arena.
Hello.
Hinkley,
How
how's
are
it
you? All
going?
right.
We're live, we're
Very
live with
good.
no
Very hot.
guest.
Very yeah. It's lovely. Lovely out here. So yeah, I'm very pleased to be on the show. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No, it's a pleasure to have you on to join in the Canon Fodder TV family. And talking about members of the family, we've got Richard from Arsenal TV. Richard, how's it going, man?
Yeah, man, I'm good. It's very hot in Clacton, as always, but I'm good.
Yeah, good. So welcome to do our Friday show, which is called the Easy Talk. And I don't remember how the name Easy Talk came about. I think I was just mucking about some words and I threw them up and it came down was Easy Talk. And yeah, it's turned out to be one of our favorite segments that we do on Canon Fodder TV every Friday. We have a panel of wonderful guests giving their opinion about Arsenal, the team that we love so much. So what we wanted to talk about was the game tomorrow, Liverpool versus Arsenal. We haven't won there in more than 7 years, Andrew.
No, well, it's going to change tomorrow. Definitely, in my opinion, it's going to change tomorrow.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry, I've just moved slightly because it was still sounding a little bit bad my end. So can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you nice and clear. Nice and clear.
That seems a lot better. That seems
Yeah.
a lot better. So. Well, you want me to have a discussion about the match now because I missed what you just said just a moment ago. Shall I go
No,
for it?
we're just saying that we're going to talk about how we're going to beat Liverpool because it's been the best part of 7 years since we last beat them. It was a 2-0 win. Goals from
Yeah.
Sancho Zola and Lucas Podolski. So what are your thoughts, Richard? How do you think we're gonna beat them lot at Anfield?
I think the best way forward into beating Liverpool is to play balls over the top of them, because Liverpool are going to be playing very high up top, and they're going to press us quite a lot. So I think the only way we can do it is ping the ball over the top of them and try and get in that way. I know probably Fabinho is going to sit on Ceballos, but I reckon Ceballos will handle it pretty well. But the only problem is it's our right back and left back that I'm worried about, mainly because I know Ainsley Maitland-Niles has been caught out a few times in games. I know he's not a predominant right back, but he's only covering for Hector Bellerin at the moment. But this is where our left back and right back need to be on the top of their game, especially with the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson coming down the other side. So it's going to be tough, but I reckon that's the best way to go. I don't think playing that from the back is the best way for it.
Is it going to be as easy as that, Andrew? Just playing the ball, long balls over Liverpool.
I don't want to sound I don't know, a little bit too lackadaisical here, but I think it's a bit easier than that, to be perfectly honest, because I think that's an added part to what I was going to say with David Luiz adding the extra dimension to our play. And if what I've been looking at today, and especially, was Liverpool's sort of frailties, and a lot of their frailties so far, very early days, obviously, this season. But if you include all their matches this season plus their pre-season friendlies, then they've been very, I wouldn't say weak, but not as good, shall we say, at defending, believe it or not. There's massive strength. They've been conceding a lot more shots, and they've been finding it very hard to stop teams sort of from running at them and breaking between the lines, especially between obviously midfield and defence. And they've been caught several times this pre-season and so far this season. And bearing in mind, one of the teams they played is Norwich, who they did obviously comfortably beat. However, the amount of shots they let on target against Norwich is a concern for them. Looking at the actual Liverpool media, as I did earlier on today, and as I said, the amount of they're allowing teams to be able to sort of run at them is quite shocking, really, compared to this stage last season and towards the end of last season. They're conceding twice the amount of shots. So what I really believe is that we have to play Willock in midfield tomorrow because of his ability to carry the ball and run at their defence. And if we can combine that with David Luiz pinging balls left, right, and centre, 60 yards to our front three, with two runners in midfield in Ceballos and Willock, with Ferreira holding, then I think we've got an excellent chance, to be perfectly honest, because no defenders in the world, I'd say whether it's VVD or anyone else you care to mention, like players running at them. And I would also add, I think we should start Pepe tomorrow and take him off rather than bring him on in the later part of the game. I think it'll be really useful right from the start to shock them almost by going at them straight away in the game tomorrow. Don't let them get a hold in the game. Force our game on them. And if we have the front three with Aubameyang on the left, Lacazette in the middle, Pepe on the right to start, I think it'd be vital if we can actually have the front three interchanging. So they're not staying in any one position for any length of time. And I think that would be extremely hard for any defender to handle as well. So if we can get the balls right to them front three, either via Ceballos or Willock and David Luiz, I think we'll cause them massive problems. But we've got to be bold. We've got to actually do that and attack them and force our game on them. Now, hopefully that will bring us a result, but if not, it will definitely be going down swinging.
Do you know what I worry about, Andrew? It's the fact that I don't want to see Arsenal crumble like they did against them last season. We got the first goal, but when they got a goal back, it's like we lost confidence and we just crumbled. I don't want to see Arsenal crumble again. I want to see some leaders actually stepping up, leading the team and not crumble. And the other thing I want to say as well is, I know you said literally that we need to get at them and the amount of shots that they've had against them, but aren't we just like Liverpool? Aren't we not just Liverpool? Because our defense is just as bad, maybe, as Liverpool. The only difference is Liverpool's defense really, they haven't been tested. That's the only real difference.
Yeah, they haven't played Arsenal yet, and that's the great thing. We need to be able to surprise a few teams this year, and I really do think we will. And I'm not suggesting for one moment that we'll very easily keep a clean sheet and very easily beat them, but I do think we've got an excellent chance, and I think we're going to have to score 3 to beat them, because there's no other way of doing it, or more, obviously, which is very unlikely. We've done it before, obviously, with our shadowing. We need a good performance like that out of someone tomorrow, but we've got to score goals and we've got to attack them, because if we don't, and we sit back and we just put 3 at the back, like Emery was well versed in doing last season, we're going to invite them onto us, and we can't afford to do that, because that's not our strength. We can't defend very well. We're better than we were, I think, with the addition of Luiz, and we will be better still when Tierney's in the team. And what a shame he's not playing tomorrow with Ella in. That'd be a fantastic matchup with their fullbacks. But we've got to attack them, because we know that we're going to concede. We know we're not the best defenders in the world, so we've got to go for it, because if we don't score 3 or 4 goals, then the likelihood is we will lose. So that is our best form of defence, is attacking them. That's the only way we can go. But I do honestly think that our team, if we are in that mood and are attacking correctly, we've got the team laid out correctly, we are a match for them this season. I genuinely believe that. We've got the personnel in the team to be able to compete with Liverpool. I don't think we should fear them.
That's been my argument, that we've probably gone to places like Anfield, and Man City, and we've already defeated ourselves before we've even kicked the ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've given up, and hopefully with this, that some new personnel, new faces at Arsenal, we've probably gotten rid of that mentality, that loser mentality. But Richard, I want to ask you this question: do you think we have enough firepower in the midfield because we can't be so reliant on Aubameyang and Lacazette to pull us out of the hole. Do you think we have enough midfielders who are going to chip in with some goals this time round?
If I'm being completely honest, no, we don't, because we haven't had. Our midfield to me is still unbalanced. I still think that in January we do still need to go and get a midfielder because I know that El Neni will be out the door. Emery's been as completely told them. Emery has completely told Mustafi and El Neni that he wants them gone. So he's made that perfectly clear. But I don't think that we've got enough firepower in the midfield. I think the only person that might be able to score goals would be Dani Ceballos and maybe Granit Xhaka if he plays. But I think going for Granit Xhaka in that midfield is a bad idea as well because if Granit Xhaka makes any mistakes, they're going to lead to a goal. So and we don't want that. We want every player on that field to put in 110% and show some fight. So for me, this is where I think Joe Willock would be ideal for this game because he can carry the ball forward in terms of into the attacking third. So no, I don't think we have. I know Ozil was going to be on the bench, but I don't think he'll play at all.
Yeah, I don't think he'll play either.
No, to your question, Al, no, I don't think we've got enough firepower for our midfield to score goals in terms of our midfield. No.
Yeah. Well, what about Pepe? We
Pepe,
need goals from the midfield. We need a bigger group of players who can chip in. We can't be so reliant on Aubameyang and Lacazette to score the goals.
I know. This is where, for me, I'd play with a 4-3-3. Match Liverpool with the same formation because we've got the players to do it. We've got the players. This is another reason that I will criticise Emery for. Why bed in new players? Why bed them in? You brought them into the summer. Why don't you just use them? That's why you brought them in because you know they're going to be in your starting 11. So maybe if we're going to go for Nicolas Pepe and Aubameyang and Lacazette, we need to play with a front three and go full at them. Go all cannons blazing straight at Liverpool because if we don't get off of the front foot, this is where we're going to be sitting back and Liverpool are going to come at us.
Andrew, what do you think about having a bigger group of players who are able to score goals and Arsenal not being so reliant on the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang to be our top scorers? Do you think we are a better placed now? Do you think we have a bigger group of players who can support Aubameyang and Lacazette?
I'm confident in that. In Willock being able to be that one that gets into the area right exactly at the right time. I really am. He's very early days. It's very early days for him. He's got to play his way into the team still, really. And I think he's doing fantastically. And I think he's got that knack to be able to get into the right place at the right time. And it's going to happen for him. I'm not going to say he's going to be a prolific midfielder, in the lines of, Frank Lampard for Chelsea, but I do think he's got the ability to be able to chip in the same amount of goals in the long run as Aaron Ramsey did. I really do. Look at that little cameo he did at the end of, in the Europa League final. He very nearly scored. He should have scored, but obviously, it was in the right, he'd had 10 minutes first team experience at that point, so we let him off, I suppose, but he got into that position in the first place. But that's a little bit of a sign of things to come. And I have seen a few of his matches when he was playing in the under-23s, and he scored regularly, and he's got that about him. I really do believe that. Ceballos, how many shots did he have the other day? 3 or 4, and they weren't far away. That's for sure.
Yeah.
One of those is going to hit the back of the net one day very soon. So if we can get a really fit and firing Mesut Ozil, there'd be no one happier than me, because I think if he can't get motivated to play with those three in front of him, then he ain't going to get motivated anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
If he thrives on assists, then what better front three to have really than what we've got? So will he play tomorrow? I don't know. Will he be match fit? I know he's been training, but he could have done really with a couple of runouts with the under-23s or a couple of behind the closed doors friendlies or something, maybe, to get fully match fit. But he may have a part to play tomorrow. And when we also discussing the goals, we've also got Martinelli, and I've got a lot of faith in him.
So have I.
I'm not saying he's going to play again tomorrow either, but when he gets more games under his belt, more minutes under his belt, I honestly think that the sky's the limit for that kid. I really do, and he's going to cause so many problems for so many teams. And that's I honestly think that he could displace one of Aubameyang, Lacazette, and Pepe, because he can play from the left, right, or centrally. And if we could slot him in, sort of mainly cutting in from the left, then it'll mean that in the long run, Lacazette and Aubameyang can have a bit of rotation and save them some energy throughout the season. And I really hope for that, like, you know, as we get sort of close towards Christmas and the new year, that he's available to do that, Martinelli.
Just before we go on to the next
I do think we've got a lot of goals in us.
Yeah. Just to top it off about Martinelli. What I do like about him, there's as well as going forward, he doesn't mind putting himself about, you know, tracking back, and that is one trait.
No, that's right.
Unai Emery wants all the players to do, whether, you know, you're in midfield or you're attacker. Everyone has to track back and try and, you know, get possession of the ball back. And Martinelli, I remember, I think it was in the Fiorentina game, he was putting himself about. I was thinking, yeah, this guy, he can go places. He can go places. If he's
and he's not intimidated either.
Absolutely. And he's only 18 years old. Only 18 years of age. Sky's the limit.
He'll go toe to toe with anyone. And that's what I like about Willock as well. I don't think it. I mean, it was only a pre-season friendly, but the way he sort of set himself about the Barcelona players was absolutely fantastic. The same with Martinelli. The way he took that ball off Aubameyang's toes when he sort of flew in from nowhere and volleyed it, and it just went wide. And Aubameyang just smiled at him because he thought, well, yeah, right, I'm having that. You know, he didn't care. I mean, at first, I think he was a little bit annoyed, and then he realised it was Martinelli, and he thought, "Yeah, okay, fair play."
Knock him out.
but Willock, and he went toe to toe with everyone that he was playing against Barcelona, and the same with Ceballos. And the way Ceballos sort of jinked between those two players, Busquets was one of them. I can't remember the other one, but no F's given, and they just didn't care what kind of reputation they had. They're just like another that I'm playing against today. So that's what I like about it, because there was a comment on Twitter today, I can't remember who it was from, but saying we cannot play Willock because he's going to be intimidated by, words to the effect of, he'll be completely intimidated by the atmosphere at Anfield. And I just think that's absolute garbage, personally. Yeah. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, obviously, but I really don't think he's that type of player. I think he'll thrive on it.
All right, so, you know, whoever's just come through and watching Karen Foy TV, the segment of Easy Talk, hopefully it's going to be the bite size, not more than an hour, Andrew. Well, let's see anyway. I've got Andrew, the Hinkley Gooner. I've got a regular favourite here, Richard from Arsenal TV, in the house this evening.
Can you hear me?
Say again? Was that Andrew? Can you hear me, Andrew? He can't hear.
Hang on a second. I'm going to I'll be back in one second. I'm going to cut my Wi-Fi and go through my data just to see if that improves anything.
No problem. Richard, we wanted to go through our 11, our desired 11. Of course, it doesn't mean that Unai Emery is going to choose the same 11 as our choices. I know you did your predicted 11, your video. I saw your video today. But can you remind Canon 4 TV viewers, what is your predicted 11?
My predicted 11. Well, first off, I've actually gone with a 4-3-3 formation because I think that's the best way to do it if you want to go full throttle against Liverpool. And I think that this is the best way forward for us in terms of this game. So I've gone with Lino in goal, which is a pretty straightforward choice. In terms of my back four, I've gone with Ainsley Maitland-Niles at right back because, you know, he's the only cover that we've got for Hector Bellerin at the moment. And then left back, I've gone with Nacho Monreal. I just think that Nacho Monreal is better off in the back four than in the back three. So I've stuck with Nacho Monreal. And my two centre backs, I've gone with Socrates and David Luiz. I think David Luiz will definitely be key to this Liverpool game in knocking the balls over the top of Liverpool with these 60-yard passes straight to in terms of our front three. So I've gone with David Luiz. My three in midfield, I've gone with Joe Willock, Lucas Torreira. I think Torreira will definitely be key for this game because of his toughness, his aggression. And he hasn't really had that much game time, obviously, because he's been at the Cup of Nations this year. So I've gone with that. I've gone with Danny Ceballos in that number 10, number 8 sort of position because he can play in both. Because I noticed that during that Burnley game, sometimes Ceballos dropped back to play in the number 8, and then he moved up to the number 10. So that's why I've stuck him in behind our front three. My front three attackers, I've gone with Nicolas Pepe out on the right, Lacazette in the middle, and Aubameyang out on the left.
Okay. Andrew is back with us. Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes, I can. Very well.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you loud and clear. So we're just going through our 11. What would be your 11 for this game?
Exactly the same as Richard, to be perfectly honest. And I've been very impressed with Ainsley Maitland-Niles actually this season. I think that the arrival of Pepe and David Luiz has brought him on already. If I'm honest, he's raised his game. I think he's been very steady, and I think his pace is going to be very useful in this match. And his stand-up tackling is vastly improved so far. I know it's only a small sample size, but he's been great as far as I'm concerned. I think long term, I don't know. I mentioned this before. I think that longer term, it's not going to be who's going to be partnering Socrates in the centre of defence. I think David Luiz has got to be playing whenever he's fit. But I think basically going to be who's going to be partnering Rob Holding and when he's fit as well, because I can only see that it's going to be in the long term Rob Holding and David Luiz, and I think there'll be a brilliant partnership when they get used to each other in the short term, and sort of if we're going to be looking at David Luiz for maybe a couple of seasons, because I don't think William Saliba is going to be going immediately into the team when he arrives. He's going to need a bit of time. He's still only going to be 19 then. So I do think that David Luiz will be with us next season as well, which I think he's more than capable of. But I think Rob Holding alongside him will offer an awful lot of pace and the ability to sort of recover, the recovery pace. If any kind of slips or slides, they're going to be able to get back and between the two of them. And they're both good ball playing centre half, which is what's very important in this day and age. So, but at the moment, I'm totally in agreement. I think that it's got to be Socrates partnering David Luiz, and Nacho Monreal. Again, he's been sound. I think he's always good up until in the last couple of seasons. He starts to run out of legs about Christmas time and starts getting knackered at the end of in the second part of the season. So I think Tierney will be back before we know it, and he's comfortable to see us through until that period. I think he's been good. But yeah, the midfield three is what I've been saying for a while. I think it offers everything. I really do. I think they're lacking a little bit of experience, obviously, but they're only going to get that by throwing them in. And you're not going to get much more of a pressure cooker atmosphere than Anfield, but I think they're more than capable of dealing with it. I really, especially Willock and Ceballos. I don't think they're going to be phased in the slightest. So they offer a lot more legs and guile and the ability to sort of beat a man and break into that space. And I think Ceballos is definitely going to have that killer pass available in his locker. And also, the shots as we saw the other day, the curling shots from the edge of the area are going to be dangerous. And one of those is, like I said, it's going to bulge the net one day, very soon, I think.
But you know what, Andrew?
But yeah,
I've got a funny feeling that Shaka is going to make a return tomorrow.
Yeah,
I really hope not.
For some reason, hope not. Unai Emery does rate Shaka, and I think Shaka as well is one of his designated one of the 5 captains. So Shaka, you can put your money that he will play Shaka tomorrow.
If he's going to play him and sort of show faith in him, because I've got no issue. It's only today again on Twitter that I spoke about Shaka. I've got no issue with the guy, and I think he's a very competent, good footballer. But he's not got not only people go on about his lack of pace, which is true, it gets him into trouble, but he's got a lack of pace in his brain, and it doesn't suit. People go on about having a footballing brain, and you've got your first 2 yards in your head. Well, he's got his first 1 yard in his head, but 2 yards back. He can't think quickly enough to play the quick ball when it's needed in the Premier League. And I think somewhere, people have mentioned Italy. I think it would suit him down to the ground. But if we play him tomorrow, I think we're committing a bit of suicide, to be perfectly honest, because we more than anything, we need legs in the centre of the park.
Exactly.
And he can't offer that. And
exactly.
When we're talking about those balls that we need thinking over, he can do that brilliantly, but he can't do it as well as David Luiz. He's better than him at it. So when we've got David Luiz, he's a bit redundant, Granit Xhaka, because that's his biggest strength, is those balls.
Yeah.
But David Luiz is better than him at doing it, so we don't need him. And I don't like saying things like that about our own players, and I'm not mucking him off, but he's not suited to our style of play or the Premier League style of play more than anything, unfortunately. I really like the guy, and he's got a good attitude.
I'll be very surprised if we don't see him tomorrow. I've got a sneaky feeling that Emery will play him. He's fit, and Emery rates him, and of course he's one of the 5 captains at Arsenal. So just mark my words. Mark my words.
Yeah,
but you're right. We need legs. And he doesn't offer much in the leg department. But yeah.
The only one he can take the place. Sorry, go on.
Go on, no, Alex. Going back to the point that Andrew made at David Luiz in the long passes and Granit Xhaka, I've noticed that when Granit Xhaka makes a long pass, sometimes it gets caught offside a few times. Whereas David Luiz, did you see the pass that he made against Burnley, straight over the top? Yeah. He timed just right. But it was just a Aubameyang, or I can't remember if it was Aubameyang or Lacazette, just couldn't get onto it in time. And it is true. I don't think that Granit Xhaka is suited for the Premier League, because I think that
we've said it before.
No, I know.
I love him.
I know.
But he's not suited for the Premier League. He wants 4, 5, 6, 7 touches, and in the Premier League, you don't get time to have 5, 6, 7 touches.
In the Premier League with the players, you need to. So before you even receive that ball, you need to know where everybody is before you even receive that ball. Then the quicker you get the ball, the quicker you can release it. So that's pretty much how the Premier League is. Whereas if you look at Spanish football, if you look at Italian football, it's more of a slower pace. It's not as intense as to what it is in the Premier League. It hasn't got that physicality side to what the Premier League has. So maybe going to Italy would be the best bet for him, because his pace is just a little bit off compared to everybody else. And if he plays, he's going to struggle. He will struggle in getting back.
Yeah. There's a couple of
where he'd do amazing in America.
Yeah.
The MLS.
He'd be, I don't know why the name escaped me for a second. Yeah. But I actually call him a quarterback anyway, because of the way he plays and putting the balls. But he's got the chance of being probably one of the most valuable players in America, because he will have loads of time and he would show his class. Yeah, I think he'd do fantastically there, to be perfectly honest.
There's a couple of tweets I want to go through before I go into the live chat, and these tweets read as this: he's a very good, accomplished player. I've got nothing but good feelings towards him, despite his mistakes and lapses. The simple fact is, he is better suited to a slower pace than the Premier League, because his brain sees things slower on the pitch and he doesn't have the pace. I wonder who wrote that.
Let me think. That was today, didn't it? I wrote that today.
Yeah.
And I stand by it. Yeah,
it's true. And the other one you wrote as well: if Emery's brave and bold this season, forces our game onto the opposition rather than worrying about what they're going to do to us, and instead of making the opposition worry about what we will do to them, then we can and will be challenging Liverpool for second rather than worrying about top four. I couldn't agree with you more, Andrew. And just one more. If we got teams from the off, especially when we have Bellerin and Tierney in the team, and Pepe is fully ready, we'll smash a lot of the teams and make the league fear us again. It's down to self-belief and how we're set up. We've got to stop feeling like we've lost to Liverpool, Man City, etc., etc., etc. And that's like I said last season. I got the feeling that before we've even travelled there, we've already lost, and that's
Well,
down to mentality.
I was sick to death of seeing all the tweets over the last couple of days of people saying, resigning the fact that we're going to lose tomorrow. And
Yeah.
it really annoys me because there's no reason for that at all. We might well get beaten, and we might well get beaten. We definitely won't get beaten 5-1 again, the same as we did last season. But we might lose, of course. It's a 1v1. One team versus one team, and one team's going to win, one team's going to lose, or you're going to get a draw. But we got to do the best and be as confident as possible, walking into every stadium around England every time we go away with our chest pumped out like we used to, and thinking, yeah, you're going to be in for a game today, and we've got to get that mentality back because we've got the personnel to do it now, and we just need. And I have got a lot more belief in Emery than I did have last season, but he's got to show it now consistently, and he's got to be bold and brave. And the problem is, if he resorts to type tomorrow and goes back to a back three, for example, or he does pick Granit Xhaka over one of the younger players with more energy and more pace, then do you know what? I will be really disappointed in him. I really will, because we've got to have that mentality, and we will definitely surprise an awful lot of teams. And I honestly think that they won't. If we do it right tomorrow, Liverpool won't know what's hit them. They really don't. I think they are confident because of what's happened last season, but I don't think they'll be expecting it. I really don't. So fingers crossed.
Do you know what, Al? Do you know what? Going to Liverpool, do you know what? I'm actually quite optimistic and quite confident about this game because I've noticed with Liverpool, well, even in the Champions League final, Liverpool wasn't all that great. To be quite honest, they wasn't.
No.
And you think about the last two games in the Premier League, they've conceded goals. So can you just imagine how Liverpool would be if they lost the likes of Virgil van Dijk? They would be literally screwed all over the place. I think that this is a point that Liverpool should have gone into the transfer market, because I think they've missed a great opportunity to go and bring in some more players and try and push them for that Premier League title, because I know that they was 1 point out from getting the Premier League, which is kind of unfortunate. But at the end of the day, I think that Liverpool is going to struggle because they haven't strengthened anywhere during the transfer window. So this is where I think that Arsenal could have the upper hand, because with what Arsenal have done, we've identified the areas that we needed. In terms of a winger, we brought in Nicolas Pepe, we brought in a left back, we've brought in another centre back. But I do think that David Luiz wasn't our main choice to bring in. I think it was kind of a panic because wasn't
it? Because of what happened with Koscielny. We got
exactly. That's why I think it was a little bit of a panic. So I know Arsenal was going for Upper Makana during at that point, but they thought, well, because it's getting later to that stage and the window's going to be closing, let's go and get David Luiz, because he's been hinting that he wants to come to Arsenal. So we got him straight away. But I reckon Arsenal will be proactive during January. I've got no doubt about that. I think we will, because I think all the deals will be in place before the January window already opens. But I personally would have liked this Liverpool game to be sometime in November. That's where I would have liked the game to be, because obviously, we're going to have Bellerin fit. Rob Holding will be back. Tierney will be thereabouts. So I think this will be more a game for us to go and win. But I think that we can get something out of this game. But I'll be happy to draw either way.
Of course we can. Let me go into the chat very quickly. We've got Sanjay Joseph, who says apparently he didn't see any pictures of Lacazette training. Is he fit?
Sanjay, Lacazette was at training.
He was at training. Okay, I didn't see any footage there. And I've got another comment from Sanjay. He says Ceballos, Guendouzi and Willock are inexperienced, Andrew, when compared to Henderson, Fabinho, and Milner, especially at Anfield.
Um, a- Apart from Fabinho, can you name another Liverpool midfielder that you would really love to have at Arsenal now? Because I wouldn't really want. I mean, Milner. How old is he now? He must be about 105 by now. We've got Jordan Henderson is a good solid Premier League player, but nothing more. He's not world class, is he?
No, no.
And what Wijnaldum, he was a reject from Newcastle not that long ago. He's had a good few performances last season. He really has, and I'm not slagging the guy off at all. But he's not a brilliant world class player either, is he? Really, he scored a few good goals last season. But Fabinho is probably the only one you could say is potentially,
World class. Yeah.
a world class player that they've got. I honestly think that if you compare those four players that they've got, our midfield is stronger. I really do. If you're good, if you, the old cliche, if you're good enough, you're old enough.
Absolutely.
And they do need more experience, but how are you going to get them that experience if you keep leaving them out because they haven't got the experience?
You've got to play them. You've got to play them. You've got to play them.
Do you know what? They haven't had the inbred mentality of some of our previous players. And when I say inbred, I don't mean inbred as in, trailer trash inbred. I mean the negative mentality that a lot of our players had and the cozy, comfortable nature that the dressing room had, whereby however you played, you got your place in the team the next week. They haven't been brought up like that, these guys.
Yeah.
So that is why they haven't got that inbred fear, really, of going away, playing away either. They haven't been part of all that failure over the last few years. So we do need them. We need them for that respect as well as their talent. So yeah, I've got no hesitation in playing them personally.
Yeah. Okay, so quickly back into the chat again. I've got one here from Don One. Good evening, Don One. And he says, Anfield is not the intimidating place it was 10 years ago. All the Premiership grounds feel neutral, including the Emirates. If you've been to the Emirates, it's like a free-for-all. It's not a fortress like it used to be, but it's time that we did make Emirates a fortress, a place to be feared. But, yeah. And another one here from Gunnar Glenn. Good evening, Gunnar Glenn. Again, thank you for the shout outs on Twitter. He says, yes, well, right. Shaka will start tomorrow. I'm absolutely sure, Andrew and Richard, that he's going to be there tomorrow, playing in the midfield.
Yeah, I've got a feeling. I've got a feeling he'll probably be captain as well. No doubt.
Yeah, he will be. He will be. I can just see it. I can feel it. On my waters. Well, yeah. And another one, Shaka Mkhitaryan have chance to start. Oh my goodness! I don't think he'll play tomorrow. I don't think he'll be playing tomorrow. Andrew,
do you know what, Al? I personally don't think Mkhitaryan's good enough to play in this game, because he wasn't really that great in the last game he played for us either. He put in probably one of the worst performances. But with Mkhitaryan, it's like he has one good game out of 5. That's what it's like. It's not as if he's playing 4 good games and then has one off day. You can't really complain with that. I know every player's going to have an off day, but Mkhitaryan, I don't think he should play in this at all. If you're going to attack Liverpool, hit them on the front foot. Play your strengths.
Yeah, I can't see Mkhitaryan playing tomorrow, and I hope not anyway. And just someone here alluding to the point we were talking about Shaka being more suited for the Italian league, and someone said, Don One says, I disagree. Italy is a very physical league. It's not just as fast as the Premiership. Well, we said that it's not as fast as the Premiership, but I think the pace of Italian football is more suited for Granit Xhaka. He will have more time to take the 4, 5, 6 touches and then release the ball. Premier League, is it 3 seasons he's been with us now, Granit Xhaka?
I think this is his 4th, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it is. He's been with us 3 full seasons. You're right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, and one more before we move on. What's this one? Gunnar Glenn, few beers and Arsenal chat. Yeah, perfect Friday. Thank you, Gunnar Glenn. Thanks for that. And one more. If we sign for Meccano in January, that will be madness.
Can I
So
say something about that quickly? I think that Raul may have already probably signed that one up.
Possibly.
If we actually made that offer, that's widely reported by a lot of reputable places, then there's no way he would just sort of we'll walk off and just leave it at that. I think he would have carried on those negotiations personally and secured him, not even for possibly signing him in January, but loaning him back for the rest of the season. That's what my bet would be.
Okay, and I have someone I recognise, my brother, Ralph Lee. Highbury was a fortress. Emirates is just an open ground. Yeah. An expensive place to go to anyway. Very expensive. And he says, we have to have Torreira in Mkhitaryan is just isn't good enough for me. And one more in the chat from Ryzen 101. Good evening, Ryzen 101. He says, were there enough chances created for our forwards with the midfield for the Burnley game, Richard?
Yeah, I think there was enough chances because I know that Danny Ceballos was trying very, very hard. And do you know what I like about him? He's got that winning mentality, especially when he was celebrating when others scored the goal. We haven't seen it from a lot of players. But yeah, I think we created more chances than Burnley did. I think there's a few chances in there that we should have buried, to be quite honest. But yeah, I think there was enough chances created for us to go and win the game. But you know what Burnley's like; they're a very tough side, and they were trying because what Burnley do, they defend quite deep when they come towards the top six sides. So yeah, I do think that we had enough chances to finish the game off of the Burnley game.
Okay, it takes me to my segue. We've just come into the live stream, the Easy Talk. We've got Andrew, the Hinkley Gooner, and we've got Richard, a regular on Canal 4 TV. Andrew, can you remind the viewers where can they find you? Where can they find you on the social platforms?
On Twitter and Twitter is mainly the best one to go to. It's at From Dial Square, which is coincidentally the name of my podcast and YouTube channel. From Dial Square to where actually. And I am on Facebook, which is at From Dial Square as well, and Instagram, but I'm very rarely on Instagram, to be perfectly honest. So, yeah, if you have a look at my YouTube channel, search From Dial Square to where, you'll see the videos that I'm starting to put on there quite regularly. And my podcast is on all of the major podcast platforms, I should say. Put my teeth in. Spotify, iTunes, etc. So yeah, please subscribe. That'd be fantastic.
There you go. You heard it from the man himself, and I'll leave the link for his social platform links in the comments box when we finish the live stream. Richard, can you tell everyone where they can find you on the social platforms?
Yeah, they can find me at Twitter. I've got 2 Twitter accounts, one for my Arsenal TV, and I've got one which is my normal Twitter, which is Richard AFC7. You can find me on Facebook, but I just kind of tend to keep that to my private life. but yeah, you can find me at my YouTube, which is Arsenal TV. I'll put the link in the comments box because some people can't find it, and I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers. So yeah.
So what are you going to do when you reach 1,000 subscribers, Richard?
I'm actually going to dye the middle of my hair blonde.
Wow. So guys, come on.
I've done it before.
I'd do it red if I was you.
There you go.
I've been tempted. I've been very tempted, but
Freddie.
So come on, guys.
That's good for another couple of hundred subscribers. That would be.
There you go. So make sure Richard can reach his target of 1,000 subscribers, and he puts the red or the white in the middle. I might just do it myself as well. And Andrew might do it as well. Actually, no, that's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just get a tattoo instead on the top of my head.
There you go. Right, guys. Before we move on to the final point, we want to talk about. Can I get a prediction from you guys for the match tomorrow? So, Andrew, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
I'm going to actually change my mind from a few that I put on Twitter earlier on today. I was predicting 2-1 to Arsenal, but I'm going to change it to 3-1 Arsenal. I think we're going to go for it, and I think we're going to get probably 3-0 head, and they're going to start coming back. But I'm very confident we're going to win tomorrow more than anything else.
Okay. And Richard, can you remind us of our
subscribers? Yeah, I've been I'm in an in whether to go with a 2-1 or go with a 1-1 draw. Because I know the last time we played them at the Emirates, we drew 1-1, and obviously at Anfield we lost, considering we scored the opening goal first. I'll probably take a 2-1 Arsenal because I feel that it will be backwards and forwards. I think it'll probably be about a 50-50 game, but I reckon if Arsenal go full out from minute one, I reckon we could get the job done. So I'm going to go 2-1.
Yeah, and I'm going 2-2. If you saw my preview earlier on today, I went for a 2-2.
I reserve my right to change my prediction pre-kickoff if Granit Xhaka is named in the team and Mkhitaryan. I reserve my judgment to alter it just before kickoff.
Okay, I might be following you down that same route as well, Andrew. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Right, and the last point we want to talk about was something that's been has marked British football for a very, very long time. I was born and bred in London. Of course, I'm a black man with a black family, and racism. Whoever saw the game there with Manchester United and Wolves, someone missed a penalty, and he got a barrage of abuse. And I'm just wondering, at what point can we finally eradicate racism out of football? Some people have said literally that the bigger picture is it's a society issue that they have to deal with first before Arsenal, before football can actually deal with it. And my argument is, wherever you are in society, whether you're working or you're at school, you have to confront a racist point of view, an idealism, wherever you are in your life. I work in schools, and if I do hear a scent of racism, I confront it. If Arsenal, the FC, hears anything about someone being racist to a player, they will deal with it. Now, this is going on for a very, very long time. I remember seeing a documentary that Ian Wright did a few months ago, talking about all the other players, the ground makers there, and they faced racism, even to the point where John Barnes had a bullet sent to his address. But yet we haven't moved forward. I don't think we have moved forward. We are in the same place, dealing with the same issues. Andrew, how can we go forward? I know it can't be dealt with on this platform. It can't be dealt with. But what's your thoughts?
I was properly sick to my stomach when I saw those tweets. Was it Monday? I believe it was. It was genuinely shocking, and I've been fervently against any kind of racism my whole entire life. It's the way I was raised, and I've raised my children to be the same. And I don't understand people that do it personally. I mean, it's got nothing to do with football, but I mean, racially abusing anyone, full stop, is just an absolutely disgusting thing. But putting it in a football context, which I don't like doing because it's not really a football thing, but to actually do that to one of your players as well, as a fan of that team, I mean, why would you do that? But anyway, eradicating it out of football, again, it's football is part of society.
Yeah.
So people say it's a society problem. It's got to be educated from a very, very young age, from preschool age, potentially, right from the word go, because it's not going to go away by education of the people that are actually doing it now. It's not. It's going to have to die out over probably 2 generations if we do it right as part of the education in schools. But we've got to wait for these people that are passing it down to their children to move on as well, because they get it from their parents. Obviously, they're not born that way, are they? So, regards to football, it's got to be right across the world of football. There's got to be a FIFA thing and a UEFA thing. I don't even like having strikes, but it's got to be a system, a 3-strike system, in my opinion. First thing, when you have racism going on, you get docked points. Second strike, you're out of the cup competitions, and if that happens to be a team that's in Europe, they're out of European competitions as well. And then thirdly, if they do it again, then they have to get relegated. Simple as that. And people will laugh and say that's too harsh, it will never happen, blah. Well, that's the only way it will happen to get it out of football, because people that are standing next to the people shouting these racist abuses, if they're not involved, they don't want their team to get relegated, obviously, or kicked out of all the cup competitions. So they might start doing some self-policing within the stadium. And I know they're probably worried about that a bit by fights kicking off, but surely they've got enough money to have enough of a security presence in these stands to sort that problem out. Rather that, sorting out and chucking out a few people than having full-blown racism going on within the ground, not unnoticed, but unattended. So it's got to be something of that kind of punishment to actually do anything. Otherwise, all these people that the clubs you see reported all the time, they found so and so who was doing the racist chanting and they've been banned for life. Well, great, but that's not going to solve anything. It's not going to solve anything at all. It's got to be very severe punishments in order for this to actually sink in across the world of football. That's the only way, I think. Anyway, that's the way I would like it to be handled.
Richard, do you think UEFA and FIFA are doing enough to stamp out racism in football? Do you think they actually take it serious?
I know that UEFA and FIFA are trying their best to try and kick racism out, but I don't think you ever will, because I think it's more of a day-to-day life sort of thing. Because if you look at, I know when Tammy Abraham got racially abused just for missing a penalty at the Liverpool game in the Super Cup final, and it was his own fans that racially abused him. How can you be a fan of a club when you're racially abusing your own players? Why? No, I don't think we'll ever kick it out of football. And, as Andrew said, it is a society thing and it's about education. I just don't think, maybe these people that are being racially abused, and I think they're just getting a buzz out of it. That's what I think it is, but I just think it's disgusting. I honestly do. It's wrong. Racism, there should be no room for it in football. If you're going to racially abuse your own player, then I think you need your season ticket taken off of you. See, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, but that's the absolute bare minimum. Absolute bare minimum.
I know, but then again, if you think about it, it's not going to take it away, because if you think about it, then the people will go onto social media and start abusing the players that way.
But we'll have to start somewhere.
Exactly. This is where I think then the social medias need to take action as well, because I don't think social medias are taking much action either.
Well, the first time I've ever heard that Twitter were actually going to go and meet with Manchester United and talk about the issue that happened the other day. I've never heard of that before, so that's positive for a start. Have you ever heard of that sort of thing happening?
Never.
Never.
So that's good. But they're obviously going to. Because first things first, just very quickly. I know you're going to be stuck for time, but the first people that see these tweets, they've got to have this common sense to screenshot them for a start, so they can forward those on to the police, because it's a crime. Let's not forget, this is a crime. It's not just a bit of bullying. And then they've got to report the tweets to Twitter and obviously block that person. And then because once they've got the screenshots of it all happening, they can forward it to the police. The worst thing they can do is start retweeting it around the world,
Yeah.
because that's what these
Yeah.
people like. If they had any common sense at all, they just put an end to it there and then, before it gets seen by too many people. That's what needs to happen, but it won't, obviously, because these people thrive on it. They will deactivate their account and they'll set another one up 2 minutes later, and they'll be at it again.
See,
But
see, as Andrew is saying, see, this is another reason why, Alex, I said to you that social media platforms need a identity check. So when you start up a social media account, you need to prove who you are. I'm not just saying by your proof of address. I mean like photo ID, so they can verify your account and who you are.
yeah, and it should take 2 or 3 days to open.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not instantly. Yeah, sometimes to verify that you are who you say you are, and if you're not, then you don't get the.
I mean, maybe that's another thing that social media platforms might need to consider if it's going to keep happening, because the more people do it, the more it's going to get worse, and the more the UEFA and FIFA are not going to take no action because it's got too much for them to handle. And I think this is where the FIFA and UEFA and social media sites need to combine together and come up with a solution. Even football clubs around the world, I think they need to do something as well. So, like, if they get caught being if they're being caught racially abusing their players, then maybe they might need to get kicked out of the stadium straight away. And maybe they could go to the high courts if it comes to it.
I don't understand why more people aren't prosecuted when they're caught in the grounds. They're just banned from the football club. Why aren't they actually prosecuted because it's actually a crime that they've committed? Why aren't they?
I think the only reason you can probably say for that is maybe there's not enough evidence to prove it. That's the way probably the law would see it. But
how they must have, in order to be able to ban them from the stadium. They wouldn't be able to do that if they didn't have concrete proof.
This is where the clubs need to take it forward and go to the police themselves and say, look, I've got the evidence, I've got the proof. Now you need to go and prosecute them.
Yeah, it's going to take a few high-profile cases that go through the courts and actually get these people banged up. That will.
I'm being funny. They're lucky that the players haven't actually took the people to court themselves.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking earlier. That's right. Why? Again, so that's going to happen. I mean, these tweets that I saw the other day as well, they weren't spur of the moment little tweets that were shot off, which would be bad enough. These were actually planned because there were photos being manipulated on Photoshop and everything. So that's actually pre-planning the attack, if you like. So these people know what to do, and they have got a footprint. I know it's too late for these ones because of the photo identity, etc., which I totally agree with. But there is a footprint with regards to their IP address. So these people are going to hopefully be tracked down. But it takes too long. It's just ridiculous. Surely, if it starts from today or tomorrow, when we have to prove who you are to open a Twitter account, and it has to go through a process, so it's not an instant thing, then they will be able to be. It should eradicate the problem full stop there and then on Twitter, because you will know who that person is instantly, and you can have the police there within about 10 to 15 minutes at their door.
Yeah,
there must be a way. There must be a way. I just can't believe, after all these years, it's still prevalent in football, racism.
But as you said, it's like watching a documentary with Ian Wright. I mean, it's even gone back till then. So it's a football. It is a football thing, but I think it mainly starts outside of football first, and then it comes into football. Because, as I said, it's more or less the day-to-day life. It's something that's going around where people have not been educated enough.
No, but my argument is, wherever you see racism, whether it be in the workplace or at school or at football, it's confronted and dealt with. There's a reason why after 25 years since Kick It Out organization started, that we still have these things going. Look, Raheem Sterling was abused.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba. There's a reason why. It's because the clubs are not dealing with it.
Well, I heard about the funding that Kick It Out get as well. Please, you have to forgive me, I don't know the exact figures, but it's paltry, absolute paltry amount that they get per year, and it was less than something like one club spending on their cleaning bill for a year or something along those lines. Again, don't quote me on it, but I've got it right in front of me. But it was something shocking like that. And what are they supposed to do with that sort of money in this day and age? It's just ridiculous. But I don't. Again, I don't want to contradict what you were saying, but it's not just a football problem.
It's
These
not.
people do it
Yeah.
outside of football as well, and they go into the ground, and it becomes even more excessive because of the chanting and all the atmosphere, and they think they can get away with it there. And but a lot of these people, my two brother-in-laws were Millwall fans, are Millwall fans, and I used to when I was in the 80s, I went home and away to watch Millwall with them for the laugh, and I was only about 15, 16 at the time, and it happened absolutely back in those days. It was very much rife with monkey chanting and throwing bananas on the pitch, etc. But those people that were actually committing those acts, they were people like barristers and people of high profile that had such stressful jobs that they went to the football in the weekends to actually let off steam, basically, and be completely anti what they are in their everyday normal lives with their wives and kids and careers. But they are still racist outside of football.
Yeah.
It comes out more in the football ground. So these people have got to be dealt with in different ways, but they've got to be dealt with by the law. And it will take someone like Paul Pogba to sue these people, to actually track them down and sue them himself. Get some people, cyber people on the case and track down these people. And it will take something like that to actually kickstart a whole new process.
Or even better still, maybe he can sue Manchester United for not protecting their
Well, yeah,
employee because he's employed by
yeah,
Manchester United.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
why
very
not
good
sue
point.
Manchester United for not protecting
That's
him?
right.
So
That's right.
yeah, dairy me.
It's an awful situation, but I genuinely don't believe it will be eradicated unless, like I said, education starts at a very, very young age in school, and it will then be a process. So, like I say, of all these people that are passing it down to actually basically die off, it's going to be a generational thing.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
the youngsters are growing up and get that education, they will be obviously educating their own kids in their homes correctly, fingers crossed, as well as it goes on, and it will be a problem that actually dies out over time, fingers crossed. But you've got to trust in the government that they will do that sort of thing, and I don't trust politicians as far as I could throw them,
Neither do I. Neither do I.
unfortunately.
See, Al, that's a good point that you made about Man United in where Paul Pogba could actually sue the club. Now,
Why
for
not?
me, if you think about it, Man United and all these football clubs have got social media accounts. So why are they not taking action about it? Surely they can see the tweets and everything and what's going around. Surely.
Well, yeah, they obviously follow their own players. You'd think so, wouldn't you? But I think it would be more likely that he could potentially form a case against Twitter itself because they've got the intelligence and the technology to actually spot any kind of racist or any kind of language they want to stop being posted. They've got the technology there. They just don't use it because they think it's altering people's freedom of speech. But that's neglect. That is a neglectful thing. Because,
Exactly. Let me quickly go back into the chat very quickly before we wrap up this segment of Easy Talk. I've got Guna Glenn who says, I'm going for a 2-1 win, a late lacquer winner. Okay, hopefully. And who else have we got here? I've got Ray from Arsenal Fan Circle. It's a great time to play them. And Lumberkamp, Ceballos, Willock, Torreira would be the perfect midfield if they're all fit.
See, everyone's agreeing what I kind of went with. I think it would be the best to play.
Yeah. There's potential goals in there. There's forward attacking options there. That's the midfield I went for as well. Ceballos, Willock, and Torreira.
And now, if you think, if you also think, there's a lot of energy in there as well.
Yeah. And another one from Ray who says, for added, excuse me, Guendouzi, as I believe we should start with 2 up top and bring Pepe on in the second half. See, I disagree with that. Like you,
I
Andrew,
do.
I would prefer to start Pepe. Start with Pepe and then maybe take
Definitely,
him
I would.
off. He's saying put him on in the second half. No, I'll play from the start.
No, I think it's better to take him off if needs be and get a good start. Can you hear me okay?
We need, yeah, we can. Yeah, we need energy
great,
and
okay.
ball winners in the midfield, or we will lose. Energy. Shaka doesn't bring much energy.
No.
So yeah, but
No.
mark my words, he's going to be in that 11, the starting 11 tomorrow, Andrew. I'm absolutely sure of it.
I'll be really disappointed. I really will. It'll actually be a bit of an anticlimax because I genuinely think we're going to beat Liverpool tomorrow. I don't even think there's a question in my mind. But however, that is completely dependent on the manager and his selection. I really hope he doesn't let us down. I really do. I mean, we're talking about Mkhitaryan earlier as well, and oh my goodness, it's just there was a quality player in there one day, but we've seemed to have got his identical twin brother because I don't know where he's gone. He's just some of the balls that he was playing across. He done some really good work and got himself in some great positions. And then the simple pass at the end against Burnley just went flying out for a throw-in or a goal kick. It's just so frustrating. So he has got a lot to offer, but I just don't think it's for Arsenal anymore, to be perfectly honest.
Ray, you remember when we was on Ray's channel? Ray did say, "Are we watching a Mkhitaryan who knows that his days are numbered at Arsenal?" So he's like, I don't really care if the coach picks me,
Well,
I'll play. If not, I don't.
That
really
says a lot about his mentality then in that case.
Yeah.
Because if that was you or me, then we'd be rolling our sleeves up and trying even harder, wouldn't we?
Oh, yeah, of course.
If that's the case, then we're better off without him straight away.
Yeah. All right, and just a couple more comments alluding to the last part we were talking about racism and Twitter and all those platforms there. Don Juan says, I've been off Twitter for about 2 years. It's so toxic on there. Yeah, I think Twitter has to be held more accountable. I've seen
That's a shame, though.
I'm thinking, what the hell? What's going on, man?
That's a shame, though, because it's got an awful lot to offer as well, Twitter.
Yeah.
So you've got to just do what's right. Do what I said earlier. Block these people, forward on report the tweets, block them, and move on. Because there's a lot of good people on Twitter that I'm really, really happy to have made acquaintances with. Obviously, like you two guys as well. I wouldn't know you two guys without Twitter. So
Twitter,
it's a shame. It's a shame because there's a big, big community of very good people there. That
I actually came across Alex. On YouTube. It wasn't even Twitter.
You're right.
Well, yeah, but exactly. It's one of those. I mean, I found you both on Twitter first and foremost. So it's a shame to just give it up completely. But I do understand that there is, some people feel that way because there's some awful things that you see, and I felt sick to the stomach, like I said earlier on this week when I saw what I saw, and I never want to see that sort of thing. So fingers crossed they do something about it. It is a positive move that they've gone to see and meet with the club. So we'll see what comes out of that meeting.
Yeah, and one more just to wrap it up comes from Lundberg. Idiots teach their kids racism. That's how it's still around and will be very hard to get out of society. You have to feel sorry for the kids who are brainwashed into racism. Kick it out.
That's a great point. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm gonna call this this live show the Easy Talk to an end. But before I do, I want to say a big thank you to Richard from Arsenal TV. Again, guys, make sure you go over there, subscribe, make sure he gets the red or the white thing in his head. Because I might just do it myself, you know what I mean?
Red, got to be red.
It's got to be red. There you go, Richard. It's got to be red.
Or red and white stripes.
There you go. You've been told, Richard. Red and white stripes.
red top with white sleeves on the sides.
Come to think of it, red maybe wouldn't be such a bad idea.
It's a good call, I'll tell you what, Richard. But Richard, thanks for coming back on the Easy Talk, man. It's always a pleasure to have you back. And remember, Richard's is going to be our mainstay. He's going to be with me every Mondays doing the fan comments at 5 o'clock every Monday. So make sure you put your comments, your angst, your anger, or whatever you want to put on Cannon Fodder TV in the comments box. And
And
last but not least,
I'll leave my channel in the comments so people can find it.
absolutely. And last but not least, listen, it's the first time, but it's not going to be the last time you're going to see Andrew on Cannon Fodder TV. Andrew, it's been an absolute blast to have you on
Thank you.
Cannon Fodder TV for the first time. I think we're going to be doing some collabs in the future, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say we'll hopefully get you guys onto my show perhaps next month in September. Fingers crossed, we'll work something out between us offline.
Yeah.
But I think it's been a really well. I've actually really enjoyed the show. I think it's been a pleasure meeting you both, and I'm really really grateful that you've invited me on here today. So yeah, I hope I didn't disappoint too much.
Well, actually, on this side, the chat has been very, very hot. It went a little bit quiet when we were talking about the final point about the racism, but it's been quite hot in the chat.
Oh, good.
Next week, Friday's Easy Talk, we're going to have the original Godfather himself, Eltel, and James Rowe doing some Europa League Cup news. And also, James is going to be talking about an interview that he's done recently with an Arsenal legend. And I really mean an Arsenal legend. So make sure you tune into the Easy Talk next week, Friday.
Not Gus Caesar. That'd be amazing.
How did you know? No.
I'll definitely be tuning in for it. Oh, bless you, Gus, if you're listening. I do love you.
But anyway, guys, thank you to all the viewers and subscribers who tuned in. And like I always say, there can never, ever be a Cannon Fodder TV if no subscribers, no viewers, no guests. And it's been an absolute blast. But you have been watching Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over the world. And we are out.